An ex-Best Buy employee just dropped a list the company never wanted customers to see. A list of products they quietly warned their own friends to avoid. Not because the items are unpopular, but because they break, fail, overcharge, or trap people in ways most shoppers never notice. These aren't rumors or guesses. These are the exact products employees watched customers return again and again and again. And once you hear why, you'll never look at those shelves the same way. Some of these items are Best Buy's biggest moneymakers and the biggest regrets for the people who bought them. But the ex-employees say the real danger is the item sitting at number 1. So here it is, the 10 products former Best Buy workers say you should never buy. 10. Geek Squad Protection Plan. The Warranty Trap Tech. Ex-employees say this is the very first item they warn people about because it looks helpful, sounds reassuring, and feels like the smart, responsible choice. But it almost never is. The secret they reveal is simple. The Geek Squad Protection Plan isn't really designed to protect your device. It's designed to protect Best Buy's margins. Most electronics that are going to fail will fail early, well within the period the manufacturer already covers for free. Despite this, employees were trained to push the extended plan hard because it's one of the store's most profitable add-ons. One former worker explained how managers watched attachment rates like hawks, rewarding anyone who could convince a customer that a perfectly reliable device was a disaster waiting to happen. The part most shoppers never realize is how the math actually works. When a device breaks years later, the cost to replace it is often less than what the customer originally paid for the protection plan. One ex-employee told the story of a customer who bought a $230 warranty on a $400 laptop. When the laptop eventually died, Best Buy replaced it. But by then, the same model sold for just $290. So Best Buy technically fulfilled the warranty, while still making a profit off the customer who thought they were playing it safe. You think you're buying peace of mind, but insiders say you're mostly buying markup dressed up as security. And if that feels shady, just wait until you see how much they profit off something as simple as a cable. 9. Monster and Insignia Premium HDMI Cables, the overpriced cable scam. According to ex-employees, this is one of the easiest traps to fall for because it preys on the moment you're excited. You've picked out your new TV, your new console, your new sound system, and right as you're checking out, someone tells you that you need a high-quality HDMI cable to get the best performance. The truth? HDMI is digital. It either works or it doesn't. And those $40, $80 cables do nothing that a $5 cable can't. Former Best Buy workers admit these cables were pushed harder than almost anything else on the sales floor. Not because they were better, but because the profit margins were enormous. One ex-employee said Monster HDMI cables were the golden goose, and even Insignia's premium HDMI versions were treated like bonus points for any worker who could slip one into a sale. Management didn't just encourage upselling, they expected it. The wild part is how unnecessary the whole upsell really is. Multiple ex-employees shared stories of customers buying these expensive cables thinking they'd get brighter colors, sharper detail, or future-proofing. But in real usage, a cheap, certified HDMI cable delivers the exact same picture and sound. No extra clarity, no hidden performance boost, just a fancier box and a higher price tag. One former cashier even recalled customers coming back furious after discovering that the $70 cable they were talked into performed no differently than the $8 cable they already owned. And the employees? They weren't surprised. They'd seen it happen hundreds of times. You think you're upgrading your setup, but insiders say you're mostly upgrading Best Buy's weekly sales numbers. And if the cable upsell seems sneaky, just wait until you hear what they do with open box laptops. 8. Open box MacBook Air M1, M2. The excellent grade illusion. If the HDMI cable upsell feels sneaky, insiders say the open box section takes it to a completely different level, because at least a cable is predictable. But an open box MacBook? That's where things start looking good on the surface, while hiding problems underneath. Former employees explain that the moment a high-demand laptop like a MacBook Air gets returned, the pressure kicks in. Managers want it back on the shelf fast, because open-box Macs attract shoppers like magnets. And that rush is exactly where things get messy. Excellent is supposed to mean barely touched. But insiders reveal that the grade often means nothing more than, "It turned on, and we didn't see anything obvious." One ex-worker said they saw machines that had clearly been through heavy daily use. Worn keys, hundreds of battery cycles, odd fan noise, still labeled excellent, simply because the device booted cleanly and didn't show physical damage. The goal wasn't perfection. The goal was getting it back on the shelf so someone would buy it. One customer story sticks with former staff, a college student who grabbed an excellent M1 Air for a small discount. 2 days later, the laptop was overheating, draining battery in hours, and crashing on simple tasks. Diagnostics revealed nearly 400 charge cycles, unheard of for a supposedly lightly used machine. But because the grading system doesn't track usage history, only a quick look over, problems like that pass right through. And here's the twist insiders swear by. The real deals are often the ones labeled satisfactory. Why? Because those show their flaws honestly. A scratch here, a ding there. And the discount reflects it. There's no illusion, no mystery past. With excellent, you're not always buying quality. Sometimes you're buying someone else's hidden headache. And if you think that's frustrating, wait until you see the computers that look beautiful on the outside, but fall apart the moment something goes wrong. 7. HP. All-in-one 24/27 series. The beautiful disaster PCs. Coming off the open-box MacBook headaches, this next one is the product insiders say delivers disappointment in a whole new way. Not because it hides its past, but because it hides its future. And once you learn what's inside these machines, the all-in-one name starts to feel less like a convenience, and more like a warning label. The HP All-in-One 24 and 27 series look flawless on display. Clean desk, no tower, no clutter, just a screen and a single power cable. It's the kind of setup that makes you think, why doesn't everyone use these? But former employees reveal the truth. That sleek, modern design is built on a foundation of compromises that turn the entire computer into a ticking time bomb the moment something stops working. Because here's what the brochures never mention. When one component fails, you're not replacing a part. You're replacing the whole machine. A failed motherboard? Done. A dead screen? Good luck. It's fused to everything. A CPU overheating? The repair often costs more than buying a new PC. One ex-employee said watching customers bring in these AIOs was like watching people walk in holding a broken TV and a broken PC at the same time. They recalled a man whose 2-year-old HP AIO refused to boot. The repair estimate, $700 to $900, depending on parts availability. The look on his face said it all. He'd basically paid for a disposable computer. And once you buy one of these things, upgrades are almost non-existent. Need more RAM later? Too bad. Want a bigger SSD? Not happening. What you buy on day one is what you're stuck with for the life of the machine, however short that life turns out to be. And hey, if videos like this are opening your eyes to what really happens behind the scenes, hit that like button so more people see this before making an expensive mistake. And if you want more insider lists like this one, make sure you're subscribed, because the next items get even worse. Now, if paying nearly $1,000 for something you can't repair sounds painful, wait until you see the everyday accessories designed to quietly siphon money from your wallet one checkout at a time. 6. Insignia. Charging accessories. The store brand markup trap. After seeing how all-in-one PCs turn simple problems into expensive disasters, The next insider warning shifts to something much smaller, but just as costly over time. Employees say Best Buy's own insignia accessories may look harmless at checkout, but they quietly drain far more money from customers than people realize. The pattern usually goes like this. Someone buys a laptop, a tablet, or even just a pair of headphones, and right before they leave, they're told, "Oh, you'll need a charger for that," or "A backup cable is a good idea." The items are inexpensive enough that no one questions them, and that's exactly why they're pushed so hard. Former employees explain that insignia-branded chargers, cables, wall adapters, and power hubs are some of the highest margin products in the entire store. Not because they're innovative or built better, but because they're cheap to make and easy to sell. One ex-worker admitted they were trained to suggest insignia accessories with almost every purchase, even when more reliable, better-priced options existed online. And customers often learn the hard way why those cheaper alternatives are better. Employees shared stories of insignia chargers that frayed within weeks, USB-C cables that stopped working after a few bends, and wall adapters that overheated during simple use. More than one customer returned the same accessory multiple times, thinking they got a defective unit, not realizing the issue was the product line itself. It's not that every insignia accessory is bad. The real problem, insiders say, is that the price rarely matches the quality. You're paying store brand premiums for something that's built to wear out quickly, which means you end up replacing it again and again and again. And if you've ever grabbed a cable at checkout without thinking twice, you're not alone. Best Buy counts on that moment. Pair the accessory with the right device, say the right sentence, and the sale is almost guaranteed. But if you think small items like cables and chargers are overpriced, wait until you hear about the service that insiders say is almost pure profit, and barely a service at all. 5. Geek Squad PC Optimization Service. The 5-minute fix. Myth. And that brings us naturally to another quiet moneymaker. Employees say they watched customers buy without realizing how little they were actually getting. If insignia accessories drain your wallet slowly, Geek Squad's PC Optimization Service does it all at once, and with far less value than the name suggests. Former employees explain that the optimization service is often sold as a deep clean, a speed boost, or a professional tune-up for your computer. Customers imagine technicians running complex diagnostics or performing some kind of advanced system overhaul. But insiders say the reality is far simpler. Most of what the service offers can be done automatically by Windows, or completed in minutes by anyone with a basic tutorial. One ex-technician shared that the entire process was often nothing more than uninstalling bloatware, running built-in cleanup tools, disabling a few startup programs, and installing updates, tasks that take 5 to 10 minutes, not the hour-long specialized service many customers believe they're paying for. Another employee said they routinely finished the optimization before the customer even left the store. The surprising part is how heavily the service is pushed. Employees described situations where managers encouraged them to add optimization to almost every PC sale, framing it as essential, even when the device was brand new out of the box. More than one worker admitted feeling guilty watching customers pay $40 or $100 for something that wouldn't make their computer noticeably faster, especially since many customers could have achieved identical results on their own with a free guide. Some customers returned later, complaining that their computer didn't feel any different, and insiders say that's because, in most cases, there wasn't much to change. Modern operating systems handle most optimization automatically. The service exists largely because the name sounds valuable, not because the work is. And if paying for a quick settings tweak sounds frustrating, just wait until we get to printers. The product category employees say is built from the ground up to take your money long after the sale is over. HP DeskJet and Envy printers, the ink money pit. And this is where the insider warnings get a little uglier, Because unlike optimization, which at least ends after one payment, printers are built to keep charging you long after you've carried the box out of the store. Former employees say HP's DeskJet and Envy series are the clearest example of a product that's cheap upfront on purpose, because the real money comes from what happens next. They watched it play out over and over. A customer would walk in excited about a $59 or $79 printer, thinking they scored a deal. But a few months later, they'd return shocked to learn that replacing the ink, just one set, often costs more than the entire printer. That's not an accident. That's the business model. Insiders explain that HP designs these machines to rely on proprietary cartridges, then prices those cartridges higher than people expect, knowing that eventually you'll give in and buy them because you already own the printer. But the frustration doesn't stop there. Ex-employees say these models also receive firmware updates that quietly block third-party ink. A customer might buy affordable cartridges online, pop them in, and suddenly the printer flashes a message saying the ink is incompatible or damaged. The ink isn't damaged. It's just not from HP. One former worker recalled multiple customers returning in anger, convinced the printer was broken, only to learn it had simply locked them out until they paid the brand name price. Another issue insiders saw constantly was the printers faking empty. The machine reports low ink, prints badly, or refuses to print at all, even though there's still ink left inside. The goal isn't accuracy. The goal is to sell another cartridge. And because the printers themselves are so inexpensive, many customers eventually give up and buy a whole new unit, which starts the whole cycle over again. Employees say it plainly: these printers aren't designed to last, and they aren't designed to save you money. They're designed to get you into an ecosystem where every page you print is a small withdrawal from your wallet. And if a device can drain you slowly like this, imagine what happens when something runs hot, wears out fast, and costs a fortune to fix. That's exactly what insiders say about a certain kind of gaming laptop. 3. Acer Nitro 5 and MSI GF series, the overheating gaming laptop problem. Following the endless ink trap of budget printers, the next insider warning moves into a category that should feel exciting: gaming laptops. But ex-employees say these particular models bring more frustration than fun. The Acer Nitro 5 and MSI GF series are popular because they look powerful and are priced lower than other gaming options. But former workers say the problems start almost as soon as the honeymoon phase ends. According to insiders, the issue isn't that these laptops can't game. They can. The problem is how they do it. These machines run hot. Extremely hot. Hot enough that employees saw them throttle performance, crash during intensive games, and in some cases accumulate long-term damage simply from trying to do what they were advertised to do. One ex-employee described the Nitro 5 as a space heater that occasionally plays video games. Customers would bring them back, complaining that the laptop slowed down dramatically after only a few weeks of use. Workers would run basic diagnostics and see CPU temperatures spiking into the 90s and 100s Celsius, territory that no laptop should be living in. Fans would scream at full speed, vents would get clogged quickly, and thermal paste applied at the factory was often already failing by the time the device reached the store shelf. And then comes the repair nightmare. These budget gaming laptops are built to hit a price point, which means cheaper cooling systems, thinner chassis, and parts placed so tightly together that opening the machine isn't something the average user should attempt. Some customers tried, only to make things worse or void their warranty. Others brought the laptops in for repairs and learned the cost of fixing heat-related damage sometimes approached the price of buying a whole new unit. Employees also noticed a pattern. The same models came back again and again, usually for the same reasons: overheating, throttling, or total failure. One worker joked that they could predict the return before even asking what was wrong. The cycle became so predictable that many employees warned their own friends to either save up for a better model or skip gaming laptops entirely. And if you've ever been disappointed by a product that overpromised and underdelivered, you'll understand exactly why the next item on the list stings. Because it's not just overpriced, it sometimes makes your tech sound worse than before. 2. Samsung HWT400 and LG SK1 sound bars, budget models that sound worse than TV speakers. And this is where the insider warnings take a surprising turn. Because after dealing with gaming laptops that overheat themselves into early retirement, you'd expect a soundbar, the simplest upgrade in home theater, to be a safe bet. But ex-employees say that some of the budget models, especially the Samsung HWT400 and LG SK1, end up shocking customers for a completely different reason. They make the audio experience worse than the TV's built-in speakers. Former workers describe a pattern they saw constantly. A customer would come in wanting better sound, but didn't want to spend much. They'd grab one of these slim, inexpensive bars because they promised enhanced audio and deep bass right on the box. Then, within a day or two, they'd be back, frustrated, confused, and asking why movies suddenly sounded muffled, flat, or quieter than before. The problem, insiders say, is simple. These entry-level soundbars aren't powerful enough to deliver a real upgrade. They struggle with clarity, especially in dialogue-heavy scenes, and often distort when the volume is pushed even slightly. One ex-employee remembered running side-by-side demos for customers and watching their faces drop when the soundbar they just bought made everything sound like it was coming from under a blanket. Another issue is connectivity. These models rely on basic Bluetooth or limited wired inputs, which means audio lag, syncing issues, and unstable connections are common. Employees said they frequently helped customers troubleshoot soundbars that cut out mid-movie or refused to sync with certain TVs, leading to even more returns. But the biggest frustration for customers was the false expectation. People believed they were buying a cinematic upgrade, something to make Netflix nights richer, louder, more immersive. What they actually got was a sideways step at best, and a downgrade at worst. Former employees said they often tried steering customers towards slightly better models, because spending an extra $30, $50 made a night and day difference. But not everyone listened until after they heard the disappointing results firsthand. And if a small purchase like a budget soundbar can mislead people this easily, it's nothing compared to the product insiders say is the most dangerous of all. Not because it breaks, but because it quietly pulls customers into years of unexpected payments. 1. My Best Buy credit card. The high-interest financing trap. The final warning on this list is the one former employees stress the most. Because unlike a disappointing soundbar or a laptop that overheats, this isn't a product you can return. This one follows you home, hooks into your finances, and keeps draining your wallet long after the thrill of your purchase fades. The My Best Buy credit card isn't just something employees avoid, it's something many openly warn their families never to sign up for. Insiders explain that the card relies heavily on deferred interest financing. On the surface, it sounds like a generous deal. No interest for 12 months, no interest for 18 months, sometimes even longer. It makes shoppers feel like they're getting a special opportunity, a way to buy something big today and pay it off gradually without extra cost. But the fine print is where the real danger hides. If you miss even a single minimum payment, or leave even $1 unpaid after the promotional period ends, the interest doesn't start from that point. It applies retroactively to the entire original purchase. Former employees say this is where they saw some of the worst financial shock. One ex-worker recalled a customer who financed a $1,600 TV, missed the payoff deadline by just 6 days, and suddenly owed hundreds more because 18 months of interest hit their account all at once. Situations like this weren't rare. Workers said they regularly faced confused and frustrated customers who didn't understand how quickly things could go wrong. And with a regular APR, often above 29%, Even a small remaining balance could explode into something overwhelming. More troubling is how aggressively the card is pushed. Employees described constant pressure to meet credit card sign-up quotas, with contests and incentives designed to make the pitch feel like part of every sale. Many ex-workers admitted they hated offering the card but felt obligated to meet expectations. When you combine high interest rates, deferred interest traps, surprise fees, and non-stop sales pressure, you get the one product insiders warn about more than anything else on this list. Because this isn't just a bad purchase, it can become a long-term financial burden. Former Best Buy employees aren't trying to chase anyone away from the store. Many genuinely enjoyed working there. The tech, the energy, the excitement of helping people find something new. But they also witnessed the same patterns over and over again. Products that failed too often, trapped customers with misleading pricing, overheated, underperformed, or quietly drained money long after the sale was over. Now you've heard the list they typically reserve for friends and family. From overpriced cables that do nothing special, to open-box laptops hiding heavy use, to gaming machines that run hotter than they run fast, to printers designed to bleed you for ink, and finally, the credit card that turns one small mistake into a financial disaster. These are the 10 products insiders say you should never buy. The lesson isn't to avoid Best Buy entirely. It's to avoid walking in unprepared. When you know what to skip and why, you become the kind of shopper those ex-employees wish they saw more often, informed, confident, and immune to upsells. So now it's your turn. Which product on this list surprised you the most? Have you ever been burned by a tech purchase that looked great in the store, but turned out to be a nightmare later? If this breakdown helped you dodge a bad buy, hit the like button so more people see this before spending their money. And if you want more insider exposés and real-world tech warnings, make sure you're subscribed. The next deep dive goes even further behind the scenes.